Hello, we are live here to chat about tonight's episode of Arrow entitled The Longbow Hunters. My camera keeps going out of focus, but I look better out of focus, so we're fine. We won't worry about that. I'm here ready to hear all your thoughts and opinions and theories and give mine. And as we always do when the episode starts, I want you guys to rate it on a scale from 1 to 5. Now, those of you that watched this and joined me on this and chatted with me on this last season know that last season I had a format where every other week I had a guest. Like last week I had a guest for the premiere, Miss Jen, and every other week it's like you guys are the guests, and I would spend a little bit more time on your thoughts and your comments and really read everything out loud that you guys have to say and chat about it. So this week, you guys are the guest. So I'm really excited about that because last week, there were so many really good, smart comments in the chat, and we kind of went through it so fast because we all had like so much to say about the premiere. So this week we get to get into the nitty gritty, and there's a little more information out now about the season. We know a little bit more about the second episode. So I think that's perfect. So if you're watching now, go ahead and maybe I should tweet this out so people actually know that I'm live. Okay, tweet it out. So as people are arriving, let me know your rating in the chat on a scale from 1 to 5. 1 being you hated it, it was an awful episode, you didn't like anything about it, one of the worst. 5 being it was like perfect, flawless, one of your favorite episodes of Arrow ever, and maybe somewhere in between, right? So I already see some people are here. I already see in the chat, for example, we have Stormy saying, I'll give this episode a 3 out of 5. I think I'm pretty close to there as well. I think I would give it like a 3.8 out of 5, something like that. If you're watching and you can hear me, if you could let me know if you're having technical issues, because I have it open in another screen and I can't see myself. But if you can see me, then we're good to go. Okay, so if you can see me and this is working, let me know in the chat. If not, I might have to restart this. Anyways, regardless, I think a 3.5 out of 5 is about where I'm at as well. TV Movie Sparks says, I'm concerned with the flash forwards. I think that Oliver and Felicity are in danger. 4 out of 5. I can see, okay, so you can see me. I'm the one having technical issues. That's fine. I don't need to see me anyways. So I think a 4 out of 5 is a fair one as well. I definitely think Oliver and Felicity are in danger in the future. And I guess to me as a viewer, that brings me some concern, but I kind of love seeing my favorites in danger because it means that we're going to get a lot of story about them. And I always want story for my favorites. And of course, on a superhero show, the people who are in danger get the stories, but it's a hero story, you know. Bruna says 3.5 out of 5 for me. Yeah, it seems like we're all around there. Now, I do know last week, the ratings were a little bit higher. This week, last week, they really came out the gate with a bang. And I think I didn't really know what to expect last week. I was a little bit less spoiled or informed last week going into it. So I was kind of like, blank slate, and I was super, super impressed. This week, it's like the bar has been set, so I kind of know what to expect. And that's probably why my rating's a little bit lower, because it wasn't quite as good as the premiere. It was still excellent, and I think what knocked it down for me, and maybe you guys felt the same way, so chime in and let me know what you think. It was so hard seeing Diggle and Felicity fighting because we already have so much angst this season, and I love angst, of course, and danger and all of that, the dark stuff, whatever, right? But Diggle and Felicity, I was so looking forward to seeing them sort of support each other in Oliver's absence. And while we do see that, we see it in a different way. We see them supporting each other but maintaining a different heroic stance. And while that's true to the characters to have a different heroic stance, Diggle has a very different approach to heroism than Felicity does, and Felicity has a much more, to use like Hogwarts terminology, she has sometimes like a Ravenclaw but with Slytherin tendencies approach where she'll do what she needs to do to get things done. And Diggle is very much like by the rules type of thing. I guess I just didn't want to see them fight about it, but it could go wonderfully, of course. Stormy chimes in saying, I also have a lot of questions about William in the future. How long have Oliver and Felicity been missing? Because I don't buy it being that long. I did get the vibe that it must have been recent, right? What did you guys think about the flash forwards? I say this as someone who did not used to like the flashbacks. There were some seasons of flashbacks that got mildly more interesting than others, but in general, the flashbacks were always less interesting to me than present day. But the flash forwards, despite the fact that I have no major attachment to either William or Roy, I don't dislike either one of them currently. They just aren't necessarily somebody who's like on my radar, favorite character, right? But the concept of a flash forward is so much more interesting to me because I feel like there's so much more mystery you can put in it. Because in flashbacks, you know where the character, like you go to present day and you know where the characters are going to end up. Where in flash forwards, you don't necessarily. So like somebody could be dead. As it sounds like, did you guys get the vibe that Thea's dead? I don't want Thea to be dead, but did you get the vibe that she was, or is that just me? I don't know. TV Movie Sparks says, yeah, same here. Not as good as the premiere. And yes, things changing, characters change. Yeah. Amanda Tavares says, hello. And I feel so bad for William. I do feel bad for William. And I'm guessing I'm reading between the lines again. But I think much like his aunt Thea, he might have an affinity for dating villains. Because when he said that he had like an asshole ex-boyfriend, I really get the vibe that like Thea, he might have dated a villain. I felt like that was the inferred story. Stormy, to that end, says William is gay. That makes me so happy. Same. Very happy about that. Plus, he's super rich. I wonder if he takes over smoke tech in the future. That would be fantastic. I'm really interested in William, a lot more than I expected to be. Again, the young version of William was never like on my radar as a favorite character because I went into it not really liking kids on shows. And they did everything they needed to do to get me to care more about it. Like, he was true to being childlike, but they aged him really, really fast as they reasonably could, which was fantastic. So he wasn't like annoying or obnoxious or anything like that, which kids can be sometimes, and that's fine, writing them true to character rather than writing them as many adults. But I don't always like kids on TV shows. The younger version of him, they really did well. The older version of him is very interesting. They've given him, it's good casting. I think it looks like the younger, and it seems to be a pretty good actor. They've given him an interesting premise. I think him and Roy being on the island at the same time, it's just very, they've done well with this. I'm interested. I don't know what to expect, although it's a familiar setting. So I'm really enjoying that. Winter's Beauty says, Dig made me so angry at first. He was very Dinah from last week. Ooh, put a pin in it. We'll come back to that. She says, they both seemed self-righteous and it bugged me. But then finally Dig and Felicity talked and he explained things and it felt so much better. Yeah, I agree. I like that they weren't like, we have different ideas of how this should be done. So not only are we going to be on different teams, we're going to viscerally hate each other, like the way the two teams were last season, where they were like, I don't want to be on Oliver's team, so I'm anti-Oliver, rather than just like, leave the team, bro, you're fine, right? So I like that they were more mature than that. It makes perfect sense that Dale would be with Argus, and Felicity being with Argus. While I kind of last week was like, oh, I really want to see them work together, Felicity could be a tech person from Argus. Once I thought a little more about it, it doesn't fit her hero's journey. She's not the play by the, like her background is being a hacktivist. She's not a play by the rules kind of person. She has a strong moral code, but it's not, I'm going to be a cop or a police officer or work for the government. You know, she's just not that kind of person, right? And the show has plenty of that kind of people, and there's nothing wrong with that kind of people. That's just not what she is. She, you know, when we see the flashback Felicity Smoke, not only do we see the hacktivist, we see the reference to Death from the Sandman comics, who's a character who escorts people to and from life and death, right? It's not somebody who's like, truth, justice, and the American way. That's just not who she is. She's encouraged people to kill, and she's encouraged people to save, and she operates outside of like the laws, but within her own moral code, which is an extremely strong and good moral code. She's the light, right? Anyways, therefore, it wouldn't make sense for her to work for Argus, even though I said the opposite last week. Stormy says, when did Felicity put the tracker in the Hosen? Because it's clearly something she added. Yeah, I would imagine she put the tracker in the Hosen right before she gave it to William. TV Movie Spark says, I hope Thea's not dead. I also hope Thea's not dead. I hope she returns. I hope she's on that island. I think that'd be fantastic. Stormy agrees she doesn't want Thea to be dead, but like me, she fears she might be. Amanda also agrees. She says, yes, I got the vibe Thea's dead, and I think there's an explanation for Oliver and Felicity's absence, but I was so sad that he spent years alone. Yeah, okay, so I've been doing a bad job of keeping track when they say years, when they specify how many years. For example, this is the flash forward is 20 years in the future, which means that William should be like, 30 or whatever. And for some reason, I just didn't do the math. And I was like thinking he was supposed to be in his early 20s. And then I actually was like looking closer at the actor and I was like, bro's got forehead lines. Like, how old is he supposed to be? And then everybody was like on Twitter, Cammy, he's supposed to be 30. Like, he's perfectly fine. He looks exactly like how he's supposed to be. And I was like, wow, I'm the idiot. Anyways, that said, with the how long he's been alone, I don't pay attention to years. Did they say how long he was supposedly have been alone? Or is this like a recent thing? Or do we not know? Fill me in, explain. Stormy says William has bad choices in dating, much like his dad. Hopefully he meets his Felicity one day. Yes, his male Felicity. She says, I'm so incredibly happy Felicity went to Watson. Me too. She goes on to say she's right. The FBI hasn't done what they promised. Exactly. It is exactly the rational solution. It's a perfect pairing for a team because you match Felicity's sort of rogue heroism with Samanda's play by the rules cold justice. Like, ooh, that's gonna be such a good pair. Winter's Beauty questions, though, do we like Felicity going to the FBI? Will she be working for the FBI or just using their resources? I mean, it's Felicity. I kind of hope that she's sort of in charge here and that she's really the one in control and she's really just using them to get what she wants. But I don't know. That's a good question. It really depends on how they write it. And I do hope that they write that, like, while the FBI may try to double cross her, I want her to come out on top. More agreement that Felicity or that Thea might be dead in the future. Ooh, tragic, but probably true. And it says next episode summary says Felicity receives an unexpected offer. I mean, that could be anything. Like, who's not trying to get Felicity to work for them? Like, Batman's probably knocking at her door weekly. I would. Amanda says, or TV Movie Sparks says, it was a good idea for Felicity to go in and demand results. I agree, and she's in the right. They did promise and not deliver. And Samantha was a fantastic character. I really enjoyed her. They've had multiple characters on this show who have been supposed to represent the idea of hard justice, right? Initially, in season one, early season one, I think that was supposed to be the perspective that Laurel Lance was supposed to represent. She was a lawyer, she loved the law, and she was supposed to represent hard justice in that she was supposed to be sort of like cold towards Oliver because he's done objectively terrible things that she, as like the older sister to a girl he probably killed while cheating on her with her little, so the whole thing. There's just like all of the like possible unforgivable crimes she's going to want to oppose him. Kind of similar to Slade in that sense, right? But at every turn, whenever they do have like a hard justice character, they break them down. And they make them come around to Oliver in some way or betray their own morals in some way. And I really hope they keep Samantha true to who she is because I think she's a good counterbalance for the rogueness going on in Team Arrow right now, and I think it'll be really interesting. And all of her stances against Oliver were technically right, which was just, I don't know. I've appreciated what she's brought to the show from like a theoretical standpoint. Stormy saying William is supposed to be 32 in the future. Pretty sure Winter's Beauty says I'm pretty sure we don't know how long he was gone. Okay. Yeah, William didn't mention how long they're gone. It's annoying that Oliver and Felicity have to force the FBI to do their job. I mean, that's the premise of a superhero show, right? You're always trying to force the people in charge to actually do their job, or you have to do their job for them because they're not doing, Anyways, Amanda says William says they just left and he has abandonment issues for that, didn't he? And he also said he had abandonment issues because, was he saying he had abandonment issues because of his ex-boyfriend too? There was like a dialogue tease on Twitter about that right before the episode airs, and I think I'm getting some of the lines confused. Stormy says, I still find Diaz to be mostly weak as a villain. He has a legion of people to do all his bidding. I'm more scared of the Longbow hunters in one episode than I've ever been of Diaz. See, I think the fact that we like got through, I think we're like 2/3 of the way through this after show. in terms of time constraints, without Diaz/Dragon even coming up, shows that while admittedly in the premiere I'm warming up a little bit more towards him, like I'm warming up to his storyline at least. I'm not really warming up to him as a character, but I think his storyline is becoming well written. The fact that we made it through to here without bringing him up means he's still a little bit of a forgettable villain. So I kind of gotta agree with Stormy on that one. With that said, the Longbow Hunters, that's pretty fantastic. Really liking their team dynamic. Really think it's a good opposition to the current team dynamic of Team Arrow or Teams Arrow or whatever's going on, right? Team Arrow, Team Argus, all of that. It's well balanced. All of the characters within the Longbow Hunters sound like they're pretty interesting and could be kind of fun, and they all seem cool and kind of badass, and they've got a presence, and they're all good actors. I don't know. I'm feeling the Longbow Hunters for the most part. I mean, I'll need more time. Like you said, we just kind of got introduced to them in pretty much just one episode, but yeah, I'm willing to give these Longbow Hunters a shot. What do y'all think? Are you finding them interesting? Any favorites? I like the chick with a thing on her belt that can like freeze sound and stuff. I think that's pretty cool. All right, Amanda says, I didn't understand the Longbow Hunters. Are they meta or do they use magical tech? I think it's magical tech. Or I think it might be tech, it's magic infused into tech. It's magical tech, I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, or if anybody knows the comics a lot better than I do. Feel free to chime in. Or if you need more information about stuff in the comics, I do, I co-host a podcast that reviews Arrow, but it's not like a live reaction like this where I do it immediately after the episode. I co-host it and we record it the day after, and we get like a lot of listener feedback from notes. It's just a little more put together. And on that, we usually have a lot of people that either call in with feedback or consult with us that have a lot more knowledge of the comics. So on there, if you're curious about the Longbow Hunters, we'll probably talk just a little bit more about the source material and kind of touch on that a little bit. So feel free to cross promotion and check that out if you want, if you're into podcasts. You guys into podcasts? You guys like podcasts? Podcasts are a little bit of a meme right now, but I enjoy them. TV Movie Sparks says, do you think this new Green Arrow is Roy, or do you think it's future William that went back in time? Future William said his ex-boyfriend said he had commitment issues. Ooh, okay, good clarification. First off, I don't think the new Green Arrow is Roy. I think it's a woman. I think it's probably the Shadowhunters girl, Kat McNamara. And if you don't want spoilers, don't listen for like the next couple seconds. But an episode title leaked or whatever, and it says my name, the episode title is My Name is Emiko Queen. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, and I'm pretty sure that's the person in the hood, which is also why I think it's a woman, and also why I think it's the Shadowhunters girl, but it could be any of the new female people that they've cast, or casting news that hasn't leaked or something, but I think it's the Shadowhunters girl. Not mad about it. I think that'll be kind of cool. Stormy clarifies, Emiko is Oliver's half-sister through Robert. Yeah, I'm cool with that. TV Movie Sparks was asking who Emiko Queen is. Yeah, a lot of chat about it. Yeah, I think it's really interesting. I think it could go either way. It could become really interesting. It could fall flat. It really depends on what direction they take it. But I think that I'm always down to see a female Green Arrow. I think that's fun and fresh. And I don't know anything about the Shadowhunters girl, but I imagine she's quite familiar with action sci-fi, so she must be pretty cool. So we'll see. Stormy says, I'm also done with Siren. Can she just go away with her fake tears? Over Lance. Lance is dead because of you and his demented need to play daddy. I mean, that's true. Very true. And I'm kind of with you. But also, was I the only one who caught that in a scene with Dinah and Siren, they used almost identical setting and dialogue to Oliver and Felicity in season 2. And then in the final scene with Oliver, or with Dinah and Siren, they used a very similar dynamic to Oliver and Diggle in season 1. It's the whole like, will I bring you coffee type of situation, the Felicity one, and the, trying to lose your bodyguard type of situation in season 1 of with Diggle. I'm like, what are they playing out here? Siren and Canary trying to hook up? Who knows? Tune in next time to find out. Not really invested in either one. Don't really care. Just curious if I was the only one that thought that was interesting. Amanda says, the parts of the episode that showed Dinah and Laurel, I was like, kiss already or get out of my screen. Yo, like, kind of same. Low key, yeah. She says, did you catch the coffee Felicity parallel? I did. I tweeted about it immediately. And everybody was kind of like nobody was like saying anything about it. Like, if you look at like all the other like tweets, it's like people interact, and with that one, everybody's just like mute. I'm like, don't pretend you all don't know what happened. Don't pretend you all don't know that dialogue. You know exactly what's going on here. Anyways, that's fine. I felt like they were flirting, but that's just me. Stormy says, I don't think there was flirting between the two Dinahs. I still don't dislike Dinah Drake. I don't dislike Dinah Drake enough to want her stuck with Siren. I mean, fair, but also I feel like it would make the two characters more interesting. So, like, what am I going to do? Say no? Anyways, thank you for joining me. We've hit 20 minutes. We are out of time, and I won't keep you late. But if you have any more thoughts, questions, theories, comments, spoilers, etc. that you want to chat with me about, all my information is in the description down below. I think I might have to edit it like 2 seconds after I post this. And if you want to chat more, you can find me next week, same time, same place. We can talk about Arrow. It'll be really fun. Low-key for me, it's like more fun than even watching the episode. I really like talking to you guys about it, and you guys were the loveliest guest this week. Loved all of your thoughts and theories and knowledge, and you're very observant and cool, so thanks for joining me. And I will see you next week, possibly with a new guest. We will see. Bye-bye.